Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Did a story in the last week about a guy who's a reporter for a newspaper, and he discovered a gigantic security problem in a state-run website by simply pressing the Reveal Codes button on his computer and seeing that the state had mistakenly made publicly available the social security numbers of many of the employees in the state. And so the newspaper that the man worked for contacted the governor's office and the state and said, there's a problem with your website. We're giving you a heads up here that it's inadvertently letting everyone out there who presses one button on their computer to see all your stuff. And you probably ought to fix that. So the state went ahead and fixed it. And then the newspaper ran the article explaining what had happened. But they held the article until the state fixed the problem. The governor then said he's going to have the journalist prosecuted for being a computer hacker because he had pressed reveal codes on his computer. Okay? Now, here's the thing, and many people weighed in on this, and it depends on whether you press one of the F buttons on a computer, function button, or whether you go into your browser and do a pull down and say reveal codes. But the fact of the matter is that there is a part of a website that faces the public, for lack of a better way of describing it. And so when you visit the website, what pops up on your screen is there. And you can press a button that says reveal codes or do the function. And the reveal codes will show you a bunch of stuff about the website that is not hidden or secured in any way. It's also publicly available, except that it's not what you first see when you get there. You've got to press a further button. But the point is that you don't need to hack anything. You don't need a password. You don't need to know how to code. You don't have to spend hours working your way through. All you got to do is press one of the F buttons on your computer if your computer has F buttons. And there it is. So the governor said he wants the journalist prosecuted for being a computer hacker. And as the entire country laughed at him, most people thought, okay, he's going to quietly slink away on that one. Because really what happened was he was embarrassed. The journalist embarrassed him. The journalist made him look silly. He has now doubled down, as they say. This story is from the Missouri Independent. Ed sent it to me. Parson, governor, doubles down on push to prosecute the reporter who found a security flaw in state site. The governor's estimate that this incident would cost $50 million continues to be called into question. Rudy Keller wrote this version for the Missouri Independent, or Missouri, as they say. And this is a fight that the governor's having with the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. On Wednesday, his political operation published a video doubling down on the attack against the reporter who informed the state that the state website revealed teachers' social security numbers. So again, the governor is basically saying, look, it's not my fault. It's the reporter's fault. The video is produced by a political action committee created by Parson supporters to back his 2020 election campaign. The PAC continues to raise and spend large amounts of money to promote Parson's political agenda, but because it's a PAC, claims to operate without direct input from Parson on its activities. The ad states, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch is purely playing politics. Exploiting personal information is a squalid excuse for journalism. They didn't exploit anything. They pointed it out. Okay? If there's something in public view, see that car? By asking you if you see that car, I'm not exploiting it. I'm simply pointing out, do you see the car? This ad comes less than a week after Parsons' widely criticized demand for an investigation and prosecution of the reporter who noticed the security flaw in a state website, along with all those involved. Okay, Governor, you got to understand something. To press one button on a computer doesn't take a team of hackers. Okay, all those involved is the guy with the finger that went click and clicked on a button. Now, it might be that this governor's never seen a computer before. He might not know what the intranet is. He might not know. I don't know. But he wants not just the reporter prosecuted, but all those involved. So Parson read a statement calling the reporter a hacker to reporters gathered outside his Missouri Capitol office last Thursday, and then he left without taking questions. Presumably he did that because if he tried to answer questions, he would have looked even stupider, right? If he doesn't know the answers to simple questions such as, Do you know that you can just click one button and reveal codes will pop up on any website? Do you know that? Huh? John Hancock, chairman of Uniting Missouri, declined to discuss any specifics about the video. The Post-Dispatch did not respond to a call and an email Wednesday seeking a response to the video. In the incident that enraged the governor, a Post-Dispatch reporter found that Social Security numbers for teachers, administrators, and counselors was visible. This list of Social Security numbers was visible in the HTML code of a publicly accessible site operated by the State Education Department. HTML, of course, is hypertext markup language, and that code is the programming that tells the computer how to display a web page. So it's actually something that your computer is handling behind the scenes as it puts up on the screen what you're seeing. So it's not actually hidden from anybody. But the newspaper informed the state of the problem and promised not to publish the story until the issue was fixed. The Post-Dispatcher publisher said in a story in their newspaper, "We stand by our reporting and our reporter who did everything right. It's regrettable the governor has chosen to deflect blame onto the journalists who uncovered the website's problem and brought it to DESE's attention." Because think about this. The governor is not saying, we want to prosecute him for publishing a story, because that's obviously a violation of the First Amendment. Then he's not saying, we want to prosecute him for contacting us. He's saying, in essence, we want to prosecute him because he pressed the function key on his computer, which, by the way, hundreds and thousands of other people have done that since just to see what we're talking about here. But the idea that that makes him a hacker is crazy. Parson said the Missouri State Highway Patrol would investigate and that Cole County Prosecuting Attorney Locke Thompson had been notified. I suspect nothing is going to happen there. But the real issue here is that the governor is wasting people's time by making these allegations. On Wednesday, Thompson said he had not received any investigative reports from the patrol and did not expect any until the investigation has been completed. The investigation is you read the article in the paper, and the article is going to say, I'm a reporter, I pressed that button to see what the revealed code showed, and it showed all this information that shouldn't be there. I then contacted the state then fixed it, and then later the state threatened me. And the state patrol is going to take that report, hand it to a prosecutor, and look at it and go, boy, our governor is stupid. Do I really have to do anything with this? Thompson wrote in an email to the Independent, I do not have any sort of timetable as to how long the investigation could take. The patrol did not respond to an email seeking information on the status of the investigation. The video continuing the attack on the Post-Dispatch was posted online as members of the legislature there continued to question Parsons' estimate that it will take $50 million to respond to this one incident alone and divert workers and resources from other state agencies. $50 million to fix one error on a website. The Public Schools and Education Employees Retirement System responded to a different potential data exposure in September by offering all 350,000 members credit monitoring, identity theft protection, and the services of a call center through a contract with Experian, according to Daryl Snyder, the agency's executive director. The cost of that response was $600,000. So the fact that they say it's going to take $50 million to fix one issue of the website does seem a little crazy. A state rep named Peter Meredith from St. Louis said the only thing lawmakers have been told would come from the $50 million Parsons cited from the latest security breach would be credit protection and a call center for approximately 100,000 educators. So the data of about 100,000 people was exposed. And since there's likely a large amount of overlap between the people who have education credentials and those who are members of the retirement system, Meredith believes the estimate should actually be much, much lower or nowhere near the figure of $50 million. The retirement system does not include employees of the St. Louis or Kansas City public schools and would only include people employed in private and parochial schools if they had previously worked in public education. Meredith said, I wouldn't be surprised if it was less than $100,000 for credit monitoring. The biggest cost, he said, will be studying the state's computer systems and upgrading them to provide better service and security, which, by the way, is not the fault of the reporter. If the reporter points out that you got a problem with your website, and to fix it, they discover they got problems with their other computers or their network or whatever it might be, it's not the reporter's fault. In fact, if he brought your attention to it, he did you a favor. You should thank him. Give him a medal. It's not about what the reporter did, Meredith said. It is about the vulnerability and the outdated systems we have. Kelly Jones, a spokesperson for the governor, has not responded to requests seeking information on the cost estimate used by Parson. The Missouri National Education Association said it is still trying to understand exactly what happened, both with the data that the Post-Dispatch found and the potential data loss at the retirement system. That's from a spokesperson named Mark Jones. It is important we take data security as seriously as physical security, Jones said. The union has not joined Parsons' call for prosecution of the journalist. In fact, nobody appears to be calling for the prosecution of the journalist except for the governor. There is nothing that indicates to me that the reporter did anything but act ethically within the bounds of good journalism, Jones said. So, the governor appears to still think that someone who visited a publicly available website and clicked reveal codes is a computer hacker. And that shows either that he's simply trying to deflect blame and is saying something that is nonsensical, or if he honestly believes that he has no idea what a computer hacker actually is. And both of those are problematic, no matter how you slice it. It's trouble. Now, I understand, and people are going to say, but Steve, you understand how politicians are. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And it's just a shame when they continue to act that way. But politicians do that. And I understand that. So this is a crazy story. The real question, I don't know why, but people keep asking me, Steve, how would this come out if it goes to court? Who's going to win? What do you think is going to happen? And again, I don't like to predict things like that because they take so long to resolve. And sometimes it's not always a binary proposition where it's either yes or no. Sometimes there's something down the middle. The real question here is not whether this man will be convicted of a crime, the journalist. He ain't going to be convicted of a crime because he didn't commit a crime. Okay? So he didn't commit any wrongdoing, so he won't be convicted of anything. If you really wanted to pick where the line is on this, if you're a gambler and it being a weekend with football, the real line here is, will he be charged with anything? Charges wouldn't hold up, but they could charge him just to try to make the governor happy. The charges would not hold up, but that's the real question. If I had to guess, I don't think he'll be charged either. I think what's going to happen is a couple weeks down the road, someone's going to point out to the governor that, you should probably just get back to trying to run the state and stop trying to escape the embarrassment of the fact that a state-run website was done so poorly security-wise. And maybe you should move on and go back to governing. That's what you should be doing. So we'll see. But Parson has doubled down on push to prosecute the reporter who found the security flaw in the state site and says it might cost $50 million to fix the hack. Ed Sennett, the Missouri Independent, wrote it or published it, and Rudy Keller is the person who wrote it. Thanks a lot. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication.